Connecting the Dots, Reliving Northwood's History with Carrie Bladorn is brought to you by Fourth Floral, Mel's Trading Post, Rhinelander Brewing Company, and Ripco Credit Union.
School just wrapped up in north central Wisconsin. Let's take a moment to walk back in time to see what life was like in a rural school 100 years ago. Far from the state-of-the-art elementary schools we have today, with expansive buildings, separate classrooms for each grade, filled with the electronic education tools of the modern age, rural schools of yesteryear were much simpler affairs. Prior to 1950, thousands of these little schools dotted the landscape of the early American education system. Things were much different in rural parts of Wisconsin a century ago, where every 5 or so miles you could find a modest one-room country school. Buildings like this schoolhouse at Pioneer Park Historical Complex in Rhinelander. Schools such as this one were often built on land donated by adjacent farmsteads with school-aged children. This school began its life near Tom Doyle Lake in Newbold and was later moved to the township of Pine Lake. Moving a school was not uncommon to accommodate the changing needs of the rural areas. Arriving at school after walking a few miles with the lunch pail in hand and then playing outside with their classmates, the day would begin with the ring of the school bell, either from a simple bell tower on top of the school or a handbell from the teacher, like this one. Children of all ages up to the 8th grade were all taught in one room by a single teacher. The teacher would arrive early in the morning to prepare for the day. Sometimes the teacher was as young as 16 years old and often boarded at a nearby farm. Teachers of past generations adhered to strict rules, such as being unmarried, not wearing bright colors, and being home between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 a.m., among others. Older children helped younger pupils with their lessons when the teacher was busy with an individual grade. Students also had daily chores, such as raising the flag, fetching wood for the wood stove, which heated the school, or water from the hand-pumped well where it was brought in for the water cooler. Along with the woodshed, these schools also had an outhouse on the premise. In the days before television and computers, these buildings often served as a community gathering place for programs during Christmas or President's Day, as well as weekend potlucks hosted by neighbors. In the late 1940s, districts began the process of consolidation, which spelled the end of the one-room country school. Larger facilities were built in centralized locations, and students were more easily bussed in from the rural areas. Education has come a long way in 100 years from the days of the one-room schoolhouse. Students today can be glad they don't have to use an outhouse anymore, pump water from a well, or walk to school uphill both ways. I'm Carrie Bladorn. This has been Connecting the Dots, Reliving Northwood's History on Newswatch 12.